beautiful plant people, it's Valerie from Terracotta Treasures, and today I just wanted to show you guys and share with you my favorite 5 colorful plants. So if you guys are already here, you and I have come to the understanding that plants are beautiful and amazing on their own. All shapes, all sizes, all greenery. But with that being said, some can definitely be a little bit more attractive to the eye or beautiful than others. And I mean, really, that is a personal preference, but yeah, I know that a lot of people love those colorful plants. And I love having a little bit of a variety of just like the simple greenery and then just some pops of beautiful foliage here and there, some different colors. So I kind of like to have a little bit of variety in my collection and on my shelves and wherever else my plants find space to live. And yeah, everyone loves those eye-catching, beautiful plants, and understandably so. And if you are one of those people, then this video is definitely for you. But let's get started, I guess, listing them off. So these are not in any particular order. I just chose 5 and wanted to talk to you guys about them. So first is the Croton, and I feel a little dumb, a lot dumb, because in my last couple of videos I introduced my Croton and I talked about it in a couple others, and I called it my Croatian. And it's not a Croatian. I don't know why I saw the word Croton, and I don't know, it's like tropical. Called it my Croatian, but it's not. It's a Croton. But anyway, there are many, many varieties within this genus, but only, I would say, 3 to 5 are really common that you're going to find in your stores, in your nurseries, garden centers. Online, there's definitely a lot more options. That's with all plants though, but with that is going to come a bigger price. So the beauty of online shopping is, of course, you can find everything, but you're going to be paying like 4 times the amount than you would if you were to just be able to find them in your local garden center. Another tangent for another day though. I keep getting sidetracked. The Croton. So the most common genus that you're going to be able to find regularly, and they're absolutely gorgeous, is going to be the Petra, the Gold Dust, and also the Mammy, or Mamie, or however you pronounce it. But they are absolutely stunning. They're gorgeous, and the leaves are such brightly colored. They're going to be one of the most attractive plants that you can find. I mean, in my opinion anyway. But they do prefer full sun and partial shade, or a very bright, sunny, south-facing window. And without light and with age, it is common for the leaves to actually lose their color, and they turn to a very dark green, almost black, and everybody thinks that their Croton is dying or dead, and that is not the case. It just either didn't have enough light and or it's an older plant, and unfortunately that does happen. A lot of plants that are beautiful, brightly colored, and even variegated will lose their color without a lot of sunlight. But this particular plant will also go dormant and play dead, and this either happens in the winter time or if it's just not getting enough light. But don't panic, because it still has the same root system. So as long as you're still watering and providing some sunlight, those are going to come back. The plant is going to regenerate itself and shoot out some new growth. And it's probably going to take some time, but you just have to be patient. There are so many plants that friends and family come to me and they're like, I don't know what to do. My plant is dead. My plant is dying. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything you told me to do, but it's dying. And I have to just kind of go through and explain again and again, your plant is not dying, I promise. It is going to come back, you just have to give it some time. It has the same root system, it will shoot out new growth, I promise. But this is definitely one that will go dormant and play dead on you. And they also do not like extreme hot or extreme cold. They are a tropical plant, but they will freak out with extreme heat. They can't deal with it. And same thing with extreme cold and or very fluctuating temperatures. So because of this reason, try not to put your plant in a place that it's going to get a draft. Don't put it next to the air conditioner or a heater or furnace or whatever you guys have. Just try to keep it in a kind of central location near a very bright sunny window. This is also a pretty good outdoor plant for the reason of it liking full sun, but just keep in mind that it's not going to survive through the winter. So you either have the option of keeping it outside over the summer and letting it unfortunately die, or you can bring it back in the winter and let it go through its little dormant phase inside, bring it back out in the spring, almost summer, and it should be fine. It'll do great, I promise. This, I swore that I was going to keep these fairly short, but I love the Croton. It is one of my favorites by far. So next up we have Anthurium, and this is a very beautiful flowering plant. It's easy to care for and really requires little attention, and if kept in the right conditions, it can last a long time. It requires bright light, but not direct light. It likes to be in a bright, sunny window. And it can survive outside, and it can do fairly well, but it may not live its best life. The leaves are a little bit more delicate than a lot of your common outdoor kind of plants. But they do love bright light, just kind of filtered light, filtered through some sort of window. They also love warmth. They actually like to be kept at a minimum of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So definitely, if you are keeping this outdoors, I wouldn't recommend letting them leave or letting them sit, leaving them over throughout the winter, or really even in like the early spring, late fall can drop to pretty lower temperatures. I know it does in my area anyway, unfortunately. But yeah, they like to be kept pretty warm. So also don't keep these guys next to a furnace or air conditioner and any sort of other draft. But with proper care, they will flower year round. They are slow growing, but they will produce quite a bit of flowers if they're happy. And you'll know that they're happy because they are producing quite a few flowers or colored leaves or whatever you really want to call them. But they will produce a lot more of those, and the leaves will be shiny. If they start to dull out and you're not really getting a whole lot of flowering, this could be because you're not maybe watering it quite enough, or it's not getting enough sunlight. If the leaves are kind of yellowing, it's either getting too much water or too much sunlight, or maybe even both. You just gotta kind of troubleshoot this one, and she'll stay alive, I promise. But these are very beautiful plants. They are well worth the time and effort that it takes to troubleshoot them and figure out what's going on and let them live their best life, or give them their best life, I should say. But they are really beautiful, and I love Anthurium. I personally have a pink one, but I would love a white one. And I haven't seen them in my garden centers, and I really haven't looked online, but I know that purple is actually kind of common, but I haven't seen them. I would love a purple one. I'd like a white one. I want all the plants. I want all the plants. But I do have a pink one, and she's doing pretty good. So next up on my list, I have the Rex Begonia. And this begonia is absolutely gorgeous. All of them are. They produce beautiful flowers. A lot of people call begonias flowers insignificant because that's the word they use, insignificant, because they're little. But I'm going to tell you right now, big things come in small packages, okay? These are gorgeous. No flower is insignificant. No plant is insignificant. All the plants are lovely, okay? All the plants are beautiful. But anyways, this particular genus of begonia, and there are millions and millions even within this genus, but the leaves are so much more beautiful than the flowers. The foliage is gorgeous. And a lot of times, some people call the flowers of this particular genus insignificant because they are small and they're not beautiful, but I think they're nice. But the foliage definitely kind of outweighs them. As much as I hate to say it, they are really gorgeous plants. And they actually love to be humid. They are native to a place that has a lot of rainfall, a lot of humidity, and their sweet spot is actually 55% humidity. And they've actually been known to grow in a lot of places and even in caves that have 100% humidity, and they thrive, which is insane, but they love to be humid. And this is one plant that I actually think really benefits from misting. I am not the biggest fan of misting, I can't lie. I don't regularly mist my plants. I don't have a Rex begonia or any other kind yet, but if I did, I would. It is one of the plants that you have to mist. It loves the humidity and it will dry out fairly easily. And this is another one that is a little harder to figure out with the watering because they love humidity, but they don't love to sit in water. They actually require less water than most other begonias and other plants. And this, I think, is why they're nicknamed the cactus of the humid jungle, because it really doesn't require that much watering. And too much water and too much fertilizer is actually its biggest downfall. This is the main reason why a lot of begonias, and especially Rex begonias, die. Too much water, too much fertilization. And with the water quality is actually key to keeping these alive. So a lot of our tap water has natural mineral salt in it, right? So it's very sensitive to hard water. And I personally water all of my plants with bottled drinking water. I would probably do that with this as well, but I've read that distilled water is the best for this plant. It's just so sensitive to those minerals and salts. The salts especially, the plant will try to kick it out and put it through its leaves and try to get rid of the salt, but by the time that process happens, the water evaporates from the edges of the leaves and it leaves salt on the pores. And this is actually a big reason of why, even if you're taking care of your Rex begonia as well as you know, and it's still producing those, like, the edges of the leaves are browning, this could definitely be why. It has been known, salts in the water has been known to dry up on those edges, on those pores, and it kills it. It usually really only kills the, like, tips of the leaves, but this is a very key thing, is water quality when you're watering these plants. I love using bottled water for all of my plants, but that is just my personal opinion. I don't drink tap water. I don't let my babies drink tap water, but that's just me. So next up on my list is Tradescantia, and I love Tradescantia. They are absolutely gorgeous plants. My favorites, and I think the ones that are the most colorful, they really are all colorful, but the ones that people generally tend to find most attractive is the Moses in a Cradle. I unfortunately did not do my research before this video. I do not know the specific name, but I know that it goes by Moses in the Cradle as common name. And these are gorgeous. They don't grow like most wandering Jew inch plant, Tradescantia, whatever you want to call them. However, they are gorgeous. They still have the green, but a lot of it is mainly purple, and it's a beautiful lilac purple. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't have one yet, but it is on my wish list. And then another one that is my favorite that I do have is the Tradescantia fluminescens, or tricolor wandering Jew. And she is gorgeous. The tops of the leaves are green and a beautiful light pink, and the bottoms of the leaves are a darker pink, almost like a very lightly colored magenta, like a pink purple. Absolutely gorgeous. And they grow like crazy. In most parts of the world, Tradescantia is actually considered invasive because it grows so quickly and it is propagated so easily. So it multiplies and it becomes invasive, but we put them in pots and we love them. So to each his own, I guess. But these are gorgeous, and the reason why they're actually nicknamed the inch plant is because they're said to grow an inch a week, and you only need an inch to propagate. And I would say that that is pretty accurate. They grow incredibly fast, and they propagate so easily, other than pothos. And honestly, I think they're a little bit easier than pothos. But they are one of the easiest plants to propagate. It is a highly recommended beginner plant, beginner propagation experimentation. I don't know, but I think that it is good for beginners. It's great for everybody who loves plants. They're gorgeous. Highly recommend the tricolor, but even just the Tradescantia zebrina, the general common, most of the time what you think of with wandering Jew, those are gorgeous. They're burgundy, green, they have a little bit of silver green streak. Gorgeous. You can't go wrong with these. Alright guys, so last but definitely not least on my list of the top 5 most colorful plants, I'm gonna have to go with succulents. And I know that this is an enormous, overwhelming variety of selection within this genus, but they really are absolutely beautiful and colorful. I've seen them in pinks and purples and various shades of green, of course, and blue and everything in between. And they are stunning, okay? Now, they can be easy to care for, and they really are easy to care for. However, I know a lot of you guys are not going to like me for saying this, but I do not recommend succulents to a lot of beginners, and the reason why is because they tend to be problem children. So, again, I love all my children the same, love all my plants the same, but succulents are a little bit tricky, and I say this because they are incredibly easy to take care of, but they're not as easy for them to be living their best life. I see a lot of plants, a lot of succulents rather, that are leggy, they're stretched out, they're not full, they're just not living their best life, and unfortunately you can tell by the growth patterns. However, they are very easy to propagate, and you can always kind of start again. Like if you have a succulent that didn't get a lot of light, didn't get a lot of love, you can propagate all the little leaves and have many plants from just the one. And even the stalk that the leaves were growing on, again, you can grow more succulents off of. I'm not going to get too deep into propagation with this. There are millions of wonderful plant YouTubers that have videos on this. I probably eventually will, but I don't right now. But anyway, they love light. Love light. A lot of them actually do like direct sunlight. A lot of them like more filtered light, but it has to be bright indirect light, bright filtered light. If you put them in a window that gets quite a lot of sun, they're going to be happy, especially if you rotate the plant quite often, then the sun can go all around it and you're going to have a more full, beautiful, less leggy succulent. Also, overwatering is a very big problem with this plant. A lot of people want to love their plants to death, and with that being said, they want to water them to death because it is part of loving your plants. But succulents and cacti don't like a lot of water. They like to be watered very thoroughly, but not as often as your other plants. I water mine once every 2 weeks or so, depending on how dry they really are. With succulents, they will they will wilt a little bit if it's too dry, but you generally don't want to get your plants to the point where they're wilting. But that is a sure sign that they need some water. But again, like I said, I water every 2 weeks. It depends on if your climate is a little more dry or a little more humid, but try not to overwater these guys. Mealybugs is also a very common problem with cacti and succulents. And a good way to get rid of these is actually 70% isopropyl alcohol. You can find this at any drugstore, any like Walmart, any store really. And I don't think I've ever paid more than $1 or $2 for about that much little container of alcohol. And you can actually water a little bit, just a little bit, onto the top of the soil. You can mist it onto the leaves. I generally do not recommend misting succulents. They hold a lot of water as is, and they do not like being misted. But you can do this to get rid of mealybugs. You can also put some on a Q-tip or cotton ball and gently wipe the leaves. And this actually is a pretty good method, I think, anyway, of getting rid of them. I think that that'll help a lot. They thrive in warm, dry climates, so I wouldn't recommend misting them a lot at all. Just be careful with the watering because that can produce mealybugs. I did not know this. I did not know where mealybugs came from. I have not, thankfully, had this issue, but I learned recently that overwatering actually causes mealybugs, or can. I don't really know how true that is, to be honest, but that is the information I was given. I probably shouldn't be spreading it without knowing how true it is, but that is what I know to be true from what I've recently read. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please do. But, yeah, they really are easy to care for plants. They just have to have the right conditions. That's all it is. They're problem children, but they're pretty easy to troubleshoot. And they're really not hard to grow. The harder part is just making them full and not so leggy. I think that's all I have for today, guys. I actually really enjoyed doing this top 5 kind of vibe of a video. I think I'm going to do a couple more of these. They're kind of fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, my beautiful plant people.